Hey y'all, this is Hajime Academia here to bring you a review of Astra, Lost in Space, Volume 1. This is a manga that I just picked up about a week ago and just finished yesterday. And I heard the anime is coming out soon, so I thought I'd give you my take on it, let you know whether you should be checking out the manga or waiting for the anime. So I'm going to try to be as spoiler-free as I can. Um, but I'm going to tell a little bit about what happens in the story, give you an idea of what the overall goal is here, and what type of characters are in here, whether or not you'll enjoy the series yourself. So let's get started. This is a Lost in Space story, so it's set in the future where, well, you've got space travel has become commonplace, just like airplanes are today. So these kids, these high schoolers, are getting ready for what's called Planet Camp, where they go and spend 5 days on an uninhabited planet where it's just the students, and they survive together, create friendships, and each group is given a task, an overall task when they're set on the planet. So we find out that our group is a group of 9 people. Usually they have 8, but it turns out that the task for this group is to take care of a small child. So their 9th member is one of the members' little sister. Some of the students are concerned about having to take care of this little girl, but they go along with it anyways, and they all get aboard their ship and they head off to the planet that they're going to be spending their 5 days on. So when they get to this planet, the escorts or teachers, whatever they are, they set them down and they let the students out of the spaceship and they say, okay, you'll be alone now for the next 5 days. We'll be back in 5 days. So the students start wandering around the planet, and almost immediately they come across this strange floating orb. So one of the students ends up walking up to it and gets sucked right in, and the orb ends up chasing down the rest of the students, and one by one they get sucked into this orb. And then so all the students are disoriented and they find themselves shot out into space. But luckily they were all wearing their spacesuits at the time, so they can breathe. They have their helmets on and they can breathe. And they see a floating ship nearby. So they use their little thrusters to get to the ship. And once they're on board, they discover they are over 5,000 light years from where they should be. Now, one of the students that's along with the group is a genius. He has an IQ of 200, and he's the one who discovered they were over where they were. He is explaining to them that our ship is 5,000 light years away, and using our ship's capabilities would take over 3 months to get back. But the ship can only hold enough food and water to feed 9 of us for 20 days. So they have to come up with a plan to make it back to Earth. And the plan they come up with is we're going to stop at planets along the way and stock up on food and water, and hopefully we'll survive long enough to make it back to Earth. So in this volume, they end up traveling to the first planet on their route, and I loved it. I loved the terrain. I loved the creatures, the alien creatures, alien life. The plants were cool. I got to tell you, you got to check it out. Just to see the diversity and the imagination that was put into these creatures and this planet. It's very interesting. So I don't want to give away what happens really once they get onto the planet. They wind up eventually gathering enough supplies and to travel to their next planet. But don't get me wrong, lots of stuff happens while they're gathering supplies. There's lots of action, lots of character development, a lot of intrigue. There's questions raised. I can tell you one of the biggest questions that we get at the end is that someone has stolen pieces of the ship's communication equipment, and just the right pieces, so that the genius Zach, says he is unable to fix it just because those pieces are missing. And he also says, so Zach is the one who's explaining all this. He says that the cuts that were made on the communication equipment were fresh. So someone on board the ship, one of the current students, is sabotaging this ship. So that's one of the major questions and very intriguing. Another one of the big questions you get is, what is this orb that sucked them in? Is it going to come up again? Would it, is it alive? What is this thing? Uh, yeah. So to tell you all a little bit about the things that I really liked about the manga, I really liked the dialogue. I thought it was witty and funny, and each character has their own unique style of speaking, which is always great. So each character is very unique. They bring their own set of skills to the table. I liked that also, that each character has their own unique skill. Some of them might seem useless at first, but then it turns out that their one unique skill is very useful in some certain situation that they run into. I also love the sci-fi, of course. It's a space manga. It's a future manga. So I loved all the sci-fi. I loved the technology. At the end of each chapter, they actually explain something about maybe their spacesuits and how they work, or the spaceship and its specifications. So those are always interesting. There's also cool technology. The genius Zach, he creates this edibility tester, which is kind of funny because if something's edible, it just shows a smiley face. If it's not edible, it shows a frowny face. And that's funny. How do you create an edibility tester? That's funny. So I also love the environments, the creatures we saw. We've only seen one new planet. Well, I guess two new planets. We didn't really get to see much of the first planet they were on because they got sucked into the orb right away. We kind of just saw a desert there, so not much there. But on the second planet, we got to see all kinds of stuff. I really liked seeing that, and I can't wait to see the second planet that they go to. Excited to see new creatures there. And so, what about things I didn't like about this manga? So I actually tried to think about it for a while, and I couldn't think of anything I didn't like. It's a really good manga, and I really recommend it. I think y'all should check it out. So I am going to get started on volume 2, and hopefully I'll make a review of that soon. All right. Catch y'all later.